And it's recording. Hooray. All right. So hi from Martin and
Hello,
me,
hello.
Nick. And today we're going to talk about 89 Osborne Street in SK6 2EX. So with that in mind, let's get into it. And the first thing I'm going to do is just go through the sales particulars. And as you know, it's condition assessment. And we go from there. So the very first thing I notice is that if one was the happy owner, one would jet wash all of this because it just is grimy and needs bringing up. This looks like a classic mid-60s house to me. Martin, can you verify that?
Yeah, because I didn't have for this exact house, so I'm checking the next door, and should be between 60 75. So
yeah. So it's kind of late 60s, and you can see the creeping 70s vernacular. But the main thing is it should be dry and reasonably thermally efficient. Nice big room, odd setup here, rock garden inside. I suppose.
No, it's not that. I cannot confirm the year.
Yeah, but it looks to me like 1960s. Got that style all over it. And I'm not sure what to think about that in the corner, but anyway.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it should be between 50s and 75.
Yeah. So this just obviously needs pulling out and modernizing. The decoration looks original. The coving looks original, probably. So this was the time when you could have manufactured coving, which came in strips, and you just bonded into the corner. And that's why you see that kind of coving everywhere. The roof, the ceiling is really nice and flat, and you can see that because when you see the light coming from here, there's no real undulations to speak of. The whole trick with these assessments, by the way, when we're dealing with estate agent pictures, is to assume that it's worse than it looks. Sorry, and to look at kind of correlatory signals, as it were. This is also kind of interesting. So it's a whole window wall combo, and you've just got a huge hole in there. We'll see some more pictures of this later on. Again, I don't think this property's ever been thoroughly decorated, or if it has, it's been a long time ago. And you can see this kitchen is reasonably modern, maybe 10 years old, but it suffers from this kind of thing, which you often had in the 70s, which is an effort to make the room more thermally efficient, and you had this boarding here, which would have to be ripped out. It's not complicated stuff, it's just more stuff. Obviously new carpets. The double glazing seems to be okay, but once we get to the Vuber stuff where we'll get more detail, then we can really see what's going on. 1990s or 80s fitted furniture. When was this property last sold? Do you know, Martin?
Doesn't have historical. I think this property is it's a social house.
Okay, well, it's either that or it's or it's probate. So we got wood chip ceiling and not professional interior decorating because you can see the edging isn't great. And it's got textured wallpaper all over it. If the walls are fundamentally good, and if the property demands it, i.e. it's a good area, the price is, well, it's 200,000. So there's a very strong argument for really just getting rid of the wallpaper, the textured wallpaper, preparing the walls properly and repainting properly. Now, I wonder, okay, I think we might have a bit of a problem here. We'll go on with the assessment, but it comes with a hazard warning, and that is whenever you see this tape, it's either because it's a repossession, which is the most likely situation. It's either of three things. It's an institutional sale, so that is the greatest likelihood, and that would be for example, a bank repossessing, reselling a property. If so, that's a real problem. and it would basically be in a void. It could be, I seem to remember this was an organization like a National Highways Commission or something like that that bought a load of these houses, and then a road was, I think this is what it was. So I remember the conversation with the agent. I remember seeing this and going, well, what's the story here? Right, now I know what's going on. So I'm pretty sure, and I can confirm.
The
Is it in the notes?
The property was purchased by highway agency. And they
it?
have changed their plan for road more.
Yeah. So they're reselling it. Now, as an institutional sale, it has its peculiarities. They won't be behaving like a bank, who are really difficult to work with, but just be aware. So at least it's not probate. And the good thing about that is they don't care who they sell it to. They just want to get a combination of the best price and the most proceedable. So they care about people who have really good proof of funds and could just buy the thing outright or whatever. So, you know, that's the thing. Anyway, right. Obviously, all this needs a good clean. It'll come up nicely. I'm always a bit suspect with sloped gardens, but, you know, it's okay. It is what it is. And good concrete tiles on the roof. And this is ex-local authority, I assume. Yes, it is. How do I know that? Because everything in the red border shows local authority.
But it's not, you're not on correct location.
Which road is it? Oh, is this the wrong?
Yeah, it's Osborne Street.
Okay, let's just have a look. Am I on the right? Cross.
On bottom. No, can you, which postal you are?
I might be on the wrong postcode. Do you know what? I'll deal with all that later. Actually, Martin, whilst I'm talking, could you bring up the map and then we can talk it through? It might not be ex-local authority, by the way. Okay, but the reason being that it's quite a good house, and being a nice good house, it might actually.
I want to say that one property nearby was also one. The asking price was 185, but it had damp issues. So.
I'd be very surprised if this had damp issues. Is this the same property? Don't. Is it? I don't know if it is. If it's not, then it's annoying.
Yeah, let's 89 Osborne Street.
Okay. It's just it really messes up the flow.
I can open the viewing particularly and speak about it.
Oh, I think I've got it. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. Relief. All right. It's just we have to download these massive files and it takes ages. And all right. So the first thing I would say is that you'd have to test and see if this woodwork is okay. That's a big exit. Now, if that was facing on the rear garden, obviously it would become a big open door thing. You'd open it up to the garden, it'd be lovely. This would all need to be checked. It's probably possibly okay. I'm not going to say probably. All the double glazing seems to look okay, which is good. Yeah. Generally, if the double glazing goes on one pane, it goes on a load of them because it's just inferior quality double glazing. Also, I'm just looking along here for signs of damp-proof treatment. I don't think there are any, but the thing about this property is it's quite elevated anyway, and the brick quality will be quite good. You can see it's had some repointing here at some stage in its life. So this is all. Yeah. So far, so good.
It's not the extension house.
This is okay. Not that really matters, but it's just a thing. And this is the cheapest of laminate flooring, by the way, and no signs of damp. That's a modern fuse board, so that's good. It should be okay, i.e. not need replacing. I think all of this could just come out and be remodeled, although you've got this recess here, so you would pull all this out, remodel the whole thing. It's a bit of work. It's what I call a complication. but it's not a fundamental problem. It's just a non-structural decorative thing that needs sorting out. And there's our damp-proof course. So that's what we're interested in.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what we like. But then it was 1960s. They had building regulations, and therefore they were mandated to do this. And also, the more modern the property, the better the quality of the bricks is generally. So these would be pretty much non-porous bricks, which is good. So it doesn't soak water up. It's all these little details that add up to make a house fundamentally good. And quality of bricks is a big deal because you can't swap the bricks with other ones for various obvious reasons. Now, this fascia board looks okay. I would say overall, this property is just a straightforward enough paint and decorate with some complications with that interior feature. All right. All the flooring needs to be redone because it is economy. Now that looks like not laminate. Maybe it is laminate flooring. I'm not quite sure on the ground.
And the kitchen can be kept, but
yeah, I think you could rescue. Yeah.
But you need to upgrade, just clean it, make it a little bit nicer. So
I'm not sure if that's laminate flooring or I think
and
it
what
probably is.
What kind of what is on the I want to see this part of the wall. Yeah,
That
this
just needs some decoration.
Yeah,
plenty of space for everything. I don't know if it's a vinyl floor or a laminate floor.
For this, I will keep it. I will not.
And we've got that hatch to the next room. It's so late 60s, so kind of 70s. This was such a feature. You know, the obviously people had different attitudes towards cooking and smells and all of that. So they would maybe just people cook differently, and therefore you had to separate the kitchen because it was always so disgusting. But anyway, that's a new door. So far, I kind of feel that this property demands a really deep renovation, and I don't mean new plasterboard, thankfully, because that is a line too far almost.
Yeah, so that's why I suggest like a 7,000-8,000 to be renovated this property.
At least, yeah, and I would replace the doors, and you know those flat panel doors are just not very pleasant, honestly. You got some mold in the bathroom. That's just condensation building up. It can all be cleaned out.
Yeah, and this shows that it was a social house, but in the past, because they will use this kind of doors usually.
Yeah, well, you say that, but then this is 1970s, remember? And they started. There was a big fashion for these flat panel doors at that time, and therefore I would say it's just a leftover from the original build.
Yeah, and I want to say that the size of the bedrooms are okay, so you can fit beds in each of the beds.
So with this renovation, because I know that, watching you want to know how much do we think it's going to cost? Well, there's nothing really wrong with the property. It needs overall modernization. There are lots of tricks, like with those fitted wardrobes and so on, taking off those nasty filaments and just making it plain, or having different insets, replacing the doors. So having half decent doors, which will be like 120 quid each, something like that.
Clean the carpets, make it more better.
I'd probably replace, actually, because I suspect they haven't been touched in a very long time. And I remember seeing a picture earlier of one of the carpets all kind of bunched up. You see all of this textured paper. I would say it's worth it. It depends. If you just want to tidy it up, rent it out, then don't do the textured wallpaper. If you really want to make it nice, you do the paper, but you're also going to have to
I will not touch that, just because
then
the yield will drop. So
then it's just vinyl matte emulsion throughout and hope for the best. Quite a nice road, actually. I think you would possibly do something with this. maybe repaint it. I'm not sure. You could see how other people have dealt with it. It's not a particularly good look, but there you are. And that's the rear. And let's have a look. It all looks okay. It's definitely got scope for extension. Leaking garage. I'm not sure what the roof is on this. We'll find out in a moment, I hope.
I think he will take. They will
Some
take out.
subsidence.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, it's that back wall, doesn't matter.
Wow,
There's been a bit of repointing here.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is prime for extension, and I could see why families would really like it. There you go. So I was just saying earlier that this carpet was all rucked up, and I just think you'd have to recarpet throughout and make it a fashionable color. Remove these filigrees or repaint. And then at very least, remove the handles, put something more modern in, and then you'd probably get away with it and redo this. It's just all about a little sensitivity towards interior decoration. You can see the plasterboard line there. Anyway, how much would it cost to renovate? It's always better to be pessimistic than optimistic. And I would go for probably around the 8,000 mark, mainly because there are a couple of complications, like redoing the lounge, which all of this needs to be sorted out, and possibly redoing the floor, but you might get away with that. And you might get away with the kitchen and but the ceiling, the ceiling needs doing, and the walls need stripping out. All of this clapperboard stuff has to go, and you don't know what's lurking underneath. So therefore it might be plastering. If you get into plastering, that drags everything out, and you're going to have to do some plastering in this house. And plastering will take like a week to do, but 3-4 weeks to dry out to repaint. And so it's just a complication, and it drags the renovation period out. That's the issue with this property. So you're losing a month's rent because you have to do the plastering. Anyway, 8 grand plus another grand of loss because you've got to wait a month to get everything finished. Okay, now let's have a look at the rest of the story here and just see how this place works out. And it is not that road, so I'll just quickly get the postcode. SK6 to EZ.
But it's X on the last, it's not Z.
Okay, so that's where things are going wrong. So it's this postcode. It's X, not Z, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. And now you're going to see how we find a property. We use the little red mark because if we didn't, it would take forever. And
yeah, exactly. It's a little bit on the right side. On the right side, after the commercial or what it is. On the right side. Yeah.
Okay.
I will show you.
Yeah.
On the right, like 5 houses on the top.
Okay. Well, it doesn't really matter because we're not going that granular on this part of it. It's a very quiet area. Demographics are very good. It's got a lot of AB, relatively speaking. So this isn't like Altrincham or some really fancy area. It's got a good mix of higher end, upper middle class, some middle class, and quite a lot of lower middle class. But I think that's fine. It's a good balanced area on the upper end of the spectrum. Not very much private rented. In fact, very little private rented. And it's just a very good area. And beyond that, the whole area is a good area. So the demographics are really strong in the whole patch, which is good. And that means it's quite homogenized. It's just a nice, polite area. as it were. Now, let's talk about the capital gain. Big topic, always very important, because your future wealth depends on you buying in a place where the property holds its value or goes up. Capital decline, as you know, is catastrophic. Now, this area is churning quite heavily. What that means is you're getting roughly 18, 17 sales per 1,000 people. And a low churn area might be central London, where you get 5 or 6 sales per 1,000 people. The area is on the change. So when you have capital gain over a long period of time, these people are the ones who can afford to bid more, and thus the area is on the shift, which is good. But conversely, if an area is in decline and there's a lot of turnover, it means that the whole demographic is also moving for the worse. This area wasn't a speculative hotspot in the end of the last market cycle. Now, just to refresh your memory, because I always like to do this, the article, you can read it on the site under useful insight and opinion, you'll find the thing. It is how much higher will capital, I need to fix that little problem, must fix that. Anyway, I'll do that later. The point is, they're property cycles, they go way back, and this is 1845, this is today. Every red arrow, distinct cycle, 9 of them, we're in number 10. And I count 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. We're in number 9. You could argue it's 10 if you think about the one at the First World War. We're in the boom phase. Every time you have a peak period where it just goes a bit crazy, affordability drops. It's now starting to tick up here. Affordability is dropping, and we're going to see 3 or 4 years of decreased affordability, just like we did in the 90s and here. It is so weird when you look at the data and you look at the predictability of it all. Now, if you're worried about interest rates, I'm not. Here's why. Public debt. And if the government have very high public debt, as they did in the First World War, then, or Second World War, should I say, really, actually, First World War on through to the 70s, then what happens is that the government can't afford to raise interest rates because they'll just nuke themselves, because base interest rates affect the cost of government debt. And in the 70s, you had a lot of inflation, but you had low debt. So therefore, we have to go back in time to the 40s, 30s, and so on. And we had a long period of low interest rates. The only caveat is that when you have huge bouts of inflation, the government has to do something, and they will. So it's likely interest rates will tick up a bit, but we are at historically low interest rates, relatively speaking, but really we're in a period similar to the 40s. So I expect continued low interest rates for another 5 or 6 years. But if you hold off on refinancing, what's going to happen is that your property is going to go up, because it'll go up in line with inflation, because guess what? In high inflation periods in the 40s, property prices went up, inflation went up, interest rates didn't. It's a very good analogy for what's going on now. Anyway, it's a big topic, but that's the overall thesis. So what's going on here? This data is going back to June 21. Obviously, there's been a lot of action since then. I'll show you some more current data in a minute. And this area is not a speculative hotspot like some places, but the capital growth is robust. This is capital growth above the rate of inflation. I predict, excluding inflation, that if the median house price is 190 now, then, or say 200 now, it's going to definitely be creeping up to the 250 mark within 3 years. To me, this is a very good capital growth area. This is distorted because people are selling their council-owned houses, or they're buying their council-owned houses at huge discount, reselling, and that's why these numbers are so high around here. Okay, this is a very strong capital growth area. Over to you, Martin.
I will go for it. I will go first, like quick. I will unzoom. I will show you that it's really close to Stockport and to Manchester. So if you want to go to Manchester by car, it's around 29 minutes. If you want to go by transport, it's 33 minutes. So basically you have direct train station from here. And if you want to go to Stockport, it's really easy. If you want, it's like 20, 80, 15 minutes, depends. It's 10 minutes sometimes. So yeah, the location. So you're close to Stockport. You have here a large shopping mall. You have also supermarket here, which is not far away, which is always great. You have some good schools around, which is also nice. And this is like high voltage, high voltage electricity, but it's enough far
It's
away.
quite
so
far away, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't need to be worried. You have also green space, which is always nice. So yeah, the location is like really good. So when you here is the property exactly, and you can see that, for example, this property have extension, this property also. So that show you that here all the properties have at least small extensions. So that show you that the people care about the property and so on. So basically, it's a nice area based on that. It's a little bit like on a high speed, on the more Frankfurt road, but not really. So
they've got traffic. They've got traffic calming measures. It's a 30-mile-an-hour road. It may look big, but I doubt it's particularly high traffic.
Yeah. So maybe they wanted to because the owners are roads agency. So I guess they wanted to make this road larger.
The issue is it's a wide road and people go fast on wide roads. And so what they've done is traffic calming measures to just slow everyone down.
Yeah.
But actually it's a quiet road.
Yeah. So yeah, everything's good. You also have good access to the highway. So I don't see any like a location issue with this. It's quite nice location.
Yeah, it's good.
I want to say that this property in the same street, the asking price was 185. I cannot see how much it sold. It's same size. The issue is the condition wasn't that good. You can see they have damp and so on. So basically they have like 10K more for renovation. So that's normal too.
Yeah, but it's not rising damp. It's what I call falling damp.
Yeah.
In other words, there's some issue with some
gutter
or something.
So this is you don't have any mining issue because the property is here. It's far away, and the flood risk is also not any like nothing serious. Just because it's a slopy property, it have always like medium or low issues. So you can see the colors.
Yeah. So as long as it's not on the bottom of a big hill.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, the big hill acts like a rain catchment thing, and the water all slides down. But this should be okay. I don't see any issue at all.
Yeah. It's everything's good. So when you go to the comparables for rent first, it will rent for 950 up to 1,000, I think.
I would say modernized, definitely 1,000.
Yeah.
It's a good. The thing about this design is it's a good design. It's nice. Yeah, it's kind of open plan design. It's good.
And it also have like I just want to add 3, just something. So you can see like not same type of house, but I was just not same type of a house, but 210. This is our 245, 250, 250, 250, 150. 325, 270, 270.
Yeah, it's difficult to kind of get assessment comparables on this. Is there anything more close?
Yeah, I will try. 185 is the one what I show you with who have them. 260, same type. I think they're selling.
Yeah, but that 261, that's a huge jump on the other properties. So why would that be 50, 60 more?
230, 260. All properties are selling like in the neighborhood more expensive, and I think they bought it for cheaper. And they want to sell it cheaper. The 170, same 75.
Okay. Well, it's an institutional sale, so it's going to have its issues. And in the end, one just has to be really on the ball about valuations. So, Martin, what I suggest you do is just after this video, please do a deep dive and come up with your numbers on this. My guess is these
It has garage.
properties. Yeah, it's on a hill, which is a slight issue, and
that's why
if you see the other properties on the flat, they're just better. So
yeah.
I think it feels to me like it's a
210 maximum,
210-ish property. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do yield calcs on 210.
Yeah. So
it's 210 plus. I'm going to just be conservative and say 10,000 in renovations. What does that give us?
So 1,000 by 12. Wait, 210 plus.
So 220. Yeah, 220 at 1,000 rent.
5.45 is nice.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, very good. Well,
but this is like the maximum that we like. We use the maximum. Even the property until it's purchased, until it's renovate and so on, the rent will increase as well. So everything will be nice.
Yeah. So fundamentally decent enough condition, not good, but just it's okay. The fundamentals are good, which really matters. Location, Martin?
4.1. Everything looks nice.
Area is good.
Yeah. 4.3.
Yeah. Crime, very good.
4.5, yeah.
Demographics, very good. Capital growth, very good. Sell time, I'm sure it'll fly.
Yeah, just because it's in
yield. Actually, yield is all right if you can get it for 210, but it might get a lot more competitive than that. That's a very good score.
Yeah, it's really nice house, and the location is nice. Everything's nice.
Yeah.
And compared to all the house around, it's like the cheap house in the good area, and this is why, because I get this is institutional sale, and just because it's on the slope.
Yeah, I think if you're bidding for it, I would probably offer cash if possible, and then I think you'd have to do that. I think you'd have a serious chance of that. But as ever, what one does is have proof of funds that one can buy cash, and then get on with the finance application immediately, and then just say, by the way, I got my finance through. But if it's an institutional sale, they'll just want the simplest deal possible with the maximum return, obviously. Anyway, all right. I hope that helps. Scores very well, this property, and yeah.
Thank
you.